Jai Hind students, today again we'll be discussing this particular topic, security and privacy, computers and the internet. Though I have covered one previous lecture also in this particular topic, but again there are some important issues which were left behind. So I'm going to cover the rest of the topics. Objectives we have already gone through, that what is basically the objective of security privacy and why we want any type of security in the system that we are actually dealing with. Contents also have covered few of the contents and few are still left, which I'm going to cover in the present. So students, let's discuss about the security. As I have told you a little bit in previous lecture also, the internet, which is again the global connections of your systems. So make sure that the system that you are basically connected with is secure. And to make sure, it will definitely be using the concept of your firewall as well, which will let only the authorized data to pass through it, right? Dedicated computers which govern any sort of interaction between internal networks and the internet. So a firewall is basically incorporated between your network server as well as your internet. So it can be a hardware or it can be any type of software firewall. Then again, the encryption can be done. What is encryption? As I told you in my previous lecture also, encryption is basically the way with the help of which we just try to convert your plain text into ciphertext. Plain text is what? This is the normal message, right? Ciphertext is the coded message. So this plain text is converted into the ciphertext, and during the transmission, during the network, this ciphertext pass, and at your receiver end, this ciphertext is again converted into plain text, which is called as decryption. So this decryption is basically done with the help of the proper key. So whosoever is a legitimate user will be having the key, and with the help of that particular key, the data is basically decrypted, or the message is basically decrypted, with the help of which the legitimate user will be having the plain data or the original message. So during the transmission, if there is any type of hacker, the hacker will only have this coded message which is transmitted through this particular network, and if they're not having the key, they'll not be able to decrypt that particular data. Then again, personal computers, physical security with locks and cables. We can apply the type of physical security with the help of different type of locks that can be incorporated, and again the type of cables that can be used for safeguarding the system. Surge protector can be there. Uninterruptible power supply need to be there. There is no sort of interruption which is basically occurring. Backup files regularly and systematically. So this is very, very important point. Proper backup of the data should be done. It should be must. So that due to any or the other reason, if we lost our data, what are the ways with the help of which we'll be able to recover it? It is only possible if we have the proper backup of the data. So make sure that proper backup of the file is done, and again it should be done on the regular basis. It should be done in this systematic way. Say, you can say like since last 30 days you haven't taken the backup of your data or backup of your system, and due to any or the other system, due to any or the other reason, the system got crashed. So how you will be able to recover that particular data if you haven't taken the backup of the data? So it is something which is suggested that it need to be done regularly. It need to be done systematically. It need to be done more frequently, so that due to any other or the other reason, if there is any sort of problem which is occurring into your system, and if you have the proper backup of the data, you will be able to fetch the information of your data. We want the information to be up to date. We want the information to be organized in a systematic way. We want to take the backup in the proper regular way. So it is must, and proper backup of the file need to be properly done. Then again, disaster recovery. So how we'll be able to recover if there is any type of disaster things which is actually occurring? There can be any type of hardware loss. That hardware loss can be replaced, right? Properly replacement of any type of hardware if it is occurring. Temporary diminished processing ability. What about when we are talking that if there is any type of software loss which is occurring? Industry standards make backups of the program files. As I told you, proper backups of the file need to be done. It should be done regularly and systematically. right? Proper backups of the file, proper backup of the data that you are actually dealing with. It should be done regularly, it should be done timely, it should be done systematically, so that if there is any type of disaster which is occurring, you will be able to fetch your information, because we don't want to lost our information at any cost. Do any or the other ways, do proper mechanisms, so that if due to any or the other reason it has lost, you will be able to fetch all your information in the proper way. Now, data lost, reassemble the records, try to reassemble whatever are the different records. Customer information, we are very much interested in knowing, so proper reassembling those type of records. Account the data in the proper way, design the information in the proper way, and measure cost and the time. So if there is any type of data which is lost, how or what actually is the methods, the means, methods, tools, techniques, ways that we are actually using, so that we'll be able to fetch the data which is actually lost. We don't want to say in such a way that the data is lost and we don't have any or the other mechanism with the help of which we'll be able to recover this particular type of data. So data recovery plan, restoring computer processing operations and data files if operations are halted or files are damaged by major destruction. See, as a computer user, we generally used to encounter these type of problems in our day-to-day life. So what are the ways with the help of which we can say that you will be able to restore any type of processing information, like say for example, a particular operation is basically going on, and due to any or the other reason, this operation are basically halted, or you can say that the files are basically damaged due to any or the other reason. There is any type of major destruction. So what are the ways with the help of which you'll be able to recover it? Definitely, you should have one or the other plans associated with it, so that if any sort of operation is basically halted, if any type of damage is basically occurred due to any type of major destruction, we'll be able to recover your files and your data which is there in your system. We don't want to compromise with the integrity of the data. We don't want to compromise with the that I've initially told you, that we don't want to compromise with CIA, right? There's a model which is called as CIA. It stands for confidentiality, it stands for integrity, it stands for availability. Proper confidentiality of the data should be matched, right? Only authorized will be able to access it. Proper integrity should be met. The data should not actually be changed or hampered during the transmission as well. And of course, at the time when you want to fetch that information, the information should be readily available to us. That is what is availability. So the ways with the help of which we'll be able to recover the data. Then comes is the approach. So what is the approach? They can be manual services temporarily, purchase time for the service bureau, and again mutual add pack. What is this? Two or more companies will lend each other computers powers. Problem if regional disaster. So there can be a type of problem which generally used to occur when there is a regional type of disaster which is basically occurring. So what need to be done? There can be two type of companies, and those two companies, with the help of this mutual aid pack, they lend each other computers power. So we'll be able to recover if there is any type of issue which is basically occurring. Then comes is the consortium. There can be any type of joint venture that can be properly signed. Complete computer system need to be properly available to us. They should be routinely tested, right? Any type of technique, if you are incorporating and you're frequently actually not testing it, this is something which is going to create a type of issue. So a proper routine, a proper checkup need to be done timely or in a proper way, so that we can come to know if there is any type of issue which is occurring, that issues need to be properly resolved. So routine tested, and that actually we can, if there is any type of issue which is occurring, we can only come to know with those type of issues only if there is proper type of testing which is basically done. Now, used only if there is any type of disaster. Consortium, it is basically used when there is only any type of disaster is basically occurring. Again, at this sake of sites also, hot sites. What are hot sites? Fully equipped and environmentally controlled computer centers. Cold sites are environmentally suitable empty shell. So there are again like different approaches. There are again backup mechanism. There are again ways, methods, or the techniques with the help of which we'll try to take the backup, or if not the backup, how we'll be able to recover the data from the system. There are advanced arrangements that need to be properly done. What is that? Everything except hardware safely stored in geographical distant location, right? So that means other than your hardware, we can store everything other than your hardware system at a geographical distant locations. That means what all things that we are talking about other than your hardwares are basically your programs and your data files that can actually be stored at your geographical distant location. Again, the listing of the program listings, program and operating system documentation, that is also very, very important. Hardware inventory list, what are the forms as a type of output that we are actually getting that can actually be stored in form of your geographical distant locations as well. And again, the copy of the disaster plan manual. So a proper arrangement in advance need to be done. Later on, we should not say that we have not done any sort of proper prior arrangement, due to which, if due to any or the other reason, if the data is lost, we are not able to fetch that particular data, because there is no see, planning is something that need to be done in a proper way, that need to be done well in advance, because we are actually dealing with your computers, we are actually dealing with a type of electronic gadgets and all, we are dealing with your internet where so many connections are systems are basically connected with each other in the global connections of your system. So there is a possibility that there can be different type of issues which generally used to occur. So the only way with the help of which we'll be able to safeguard is that proper advance arrangement need to be done well in advance. Then it is something which includes priorities for the program. Based on the priority, based on the listing of the program, proper priorities of the program need to be done. Plans for notifying the employees. Proper notification to an employee should be done. And to notify the employee, again, proper plans need to be done well in advance. That is important thing, that like there should not be any type of mechanism with the help of which, like, we can say that we are not actually able to notify the employees of an organization. Proper plans need to be done well in advance, with the help of which the employees need to be notified. Then comes is the list of needed equipments and where it is equipped. See, what all resources we need, they need to be properly listed. Whatever equipments we need, they should be properly located well in advance. So this is something which is important. Even if you don't have resources, how we'll be able to move on to this particular type of scenario. Then again, alternatives computing facilities should be there. Procedures for handling input and output data. How we are able to handle what is the input that we are having onto the system and what is the output that we are able to get from the system. So what is the procedure that we are actually using for handling this type of information? And again, emergency drills. So this is something which basically requires a type of pre-planning, a type of pre-arrangement which is required, so that we'll be able to make sure that the data is basically not lost, the files are basically not lost, and we'll be able to fetch the information whenever we need it. And if they are lost due to any other reason, in no way or the other we cannot say that the data is basically not found out. So backup, why there is a need for backup, why there is a necessity for backup. Now, if you are not backing up your files regularly, you deserve to lose them. Of course, it is but simple. That if you are not taking the backup of your system, there can be the possibility that that particular file or that particular data is lost. So it is mandatory that you need to take the backup. Again, timely backup you need to properly take. Systematic backup you need to take, so that if due to any or the other reason the data has been lost, you should be able to take the proper backup of the data. Average user experience loss once in a year. Right, this is a very current situation that we are talking about. Average user, everybody almost, right? Average user, most of the users, they lost their data once in a year. And data or the information is very, very important. We don't want to lose our information. And that is only possible if and only if there is proper backup of the data. If there is no backup of the data, there is a probability that you will lose your system, or you will lose the data which is there in your system. Then what can cause data loss? There can be number of reasons due to which the data is basically lost. What is the reason? Incorrect software use, right? It might be a possibility that we are not actually, like, one is not technically qualified, but does not know how to use a particular type of software. again, by not knowing how to use it, if you are using it, there is a possibility that you can lose your system, or you can lose your, this is something which is going to, make sure that the data is basically been lost. So this is going to lose your data. Then second is your input data correctly. You need to feed onto some input to your system, and due to any or the other reason, you have fed some wrong input to your system, right? Input data not in the proper way, but in the incorrect way, which will again lead to loss of the data. So it is important that you need to take the proper backup of the data. Software may harm the data. Whatever software that you are dealing with, whatever software that you are actually using for this purpose, they may harm your data. Hard disk malfunctions can be there, due to which the data can be lost. Accidentally, the files are basically deleted, right? Due to any other reason, due to any sort of accidents which might occur, the files are basically deleted. There can be any type of infection from the viruses as well, right? So due to a virus infection as well, the data can be lost. So all these are the different reasons due to which the data is basically lost, and it is the responsibility, it is mandatory that if this type of consequences should occur, what are the alternates we are having? The alternate is very, very simple, that we need to take the proper backup of the data timely as well as in a systematic way, so that we'll be able to fetch if due to any or the other reason the data is basically lost. Now, if we talk about the different methods of the backup, there can be a full backup of the complete system, right? That is again important. The complete backup of the full backup of the complete system. There can be differential type of backup that can be done, and again incremental, based on the type of increments the backup is basically doing. So it is important that you need to take the backup, and depending on the methods, depending on your requirements, depending upon the necessity of the day, it can be full, it can be differential, it can be in the incremental way. Again, what are the media that can be used for the purpose of backups? Of course, we can use disk, we can use tape, we can use zip disk, we can use CD ROMs, we can use DVD, we can use mirrored hard drive. So there are different medias that can actually be used for the purpose of backup, but we have to use any or the other way, because like we cannot say that like it should not be done. It should be done at anyhow, using any or the other media, using any or the other methods which you feel is the requirement of the day, which you feel is suitable to you, which you feel that you want to incorporate. So any of the other methods, any of the other medias can actually be used for the purpose of backup. Now, what are pests? They invade the computer system and cause something which is unexpected to occur. Right? Behaving the system in a system is going to behave in some unexpected way. They are going to invade the computer system and causes something which is unexpected to occur. May interface with the functions of your personal computer. So these are the pests. What are worms? They are rare. They transfer over the network. Worms transfer over the network. Plants as a separate file on the target computers. Viruses, we don't want our system to get infected with the viruses, and again there are a number of ways with the help of which they basically infect or they enter into your system. Corrupted files are there, and once you open that particular type of files and all, if it is virus infected, this is going to definitely hamper or harm your system as well. So illicit instructions that pass themselves on to other programs, okay, at the beginning, and again damaging to your computer system. Digital vandalism again can be there. Vaccine or antivirus stops the spread of and eradicates the virus. So always try to use the proper antivirus, the licensed antivirus, so that the virus does not affect or harm your system. Install proper type of software. Download signatures files regularly. That is also very, very important. See, these are different type of general issues that we generally used to encounter, and we even generally used to say that my system is basically infected by virus. So what is the reason behind it? How the viruses basically enter into your system? What are the ways with the help of which will make sure that if any type of viruses is occurring into your system, it is not going to affect or harm your system? Then there is retrovirus, fights the vaccine and may delete the antivirus software. See, you can see that how effective this particular retrovirus is. It may delete the antivirus software that you have actually used. So how effective it is. Then again, costs billions of dollars a year. Again, aggravation to individual users as well. So virus transmission, there is a network disk, and it is like affect your complete system. Initially from the originator, that the program writes a particular program. Then again the transmission mode, it is going to reproduce itself, and then it is going to infect or affect a particular type of system. So at a particular predetermined time, they are prompted by the particular computers, and it is going to affect that particular type of system. The major problem with this virus is that it is something which is going to reproduce itself. The virus is passed to another users who use this particular system. If you are going to use a system which is a computer or which is a virus infected system, it can affect the other system as well, which is basically connected with that particular type of system. So this is something which is very, very dangerous as well. And proper antivirus, proper license software need to be properly used well in advance, so that it is not even going to enter into a system and there is no provision or there is no scope of any sort of transmission. Now, getting infected, execute the virus program. If you are going to execute any type of virus program or any type of virus which basically enters your system, definitely there is a the system is going to be infected. Booting from the disk containing an infected boot sector, including accidentally leaving a non-system disk in the floppy drive, downloading an infected file and executing it. This is very, very important thing. As I told you earlier too, that if you are going to download a particular file which is an infected file, infected means there is a type of virus in that particular file, and once you are going to execute it, it is going to corrupt even your system. It is going to hamper the files, it is going to hamper the data even in your system. So just make sure that whatever files, whatever data that you are actually going to deal with, it is virus free, or you should have a proper antivirus software which is basically installed in your system. Opening an infected email attachment. It is always suggested that never ever open an attachment which you are not aware of. You are actually not aware from where you are getting these type of emails and all. So there can be number of different type of emails, and as an attachment in those emails, you basically used to open it. And once you open that, once you make a click on that particular link, your system is basically infected by that particular type of virus. By viewing emails in some version of Microsoft Outlook as well. So this is again reason that the system gets infected. These are very general and common type of points, but we are very much unaware of this, or we just don't bother about it, that we are actually at a loss, or the integrity of the data or the system is basically infected. Now, what are the precautions that can be used when we are dealing in terms of viruses? Beware of free software from the internet or friends. There are so many free software which are actually availing these days that you are actually able to download from the internet, or even your friends gives you. So beware of those type of free software. Once you are actually going to install it, it is definitely, there might be a possibility that it is something which is infected by your virus. So these are the precautions, that never ever try to use any type of free software. Beware of it, properly know about it. Just try to see that if it is going to, if you're going to install it, what are the type of consequences you may face later on. Only install programs from disk in a sealed package, right? Proper licensed package, proper licensed software should be properly, like it is recommended to use. Use virus scanning software, right? The software which is going to scan the proper virus as well, to check any files or documents before loading into your hard disk. So these are the different type of precautions that can actually be used, so that you'll be able to safeguard your system from particular type of virus. Don't ever try to use any type of software which is freely available. Of course, there is a possibility and a high possibility that that is basically infected by your virus. Try to use only the licensed software. Now comes a very important terms, which is privacy. Privacy of the data should be there. So where is my data? We should be very much aware that what is my data, where is my data, how that data is basically used, who all are the person who sees this particular data. Is anything private anymore other than this, that what is my data, how you are using it, who are the person who is associated with it, who all are using it. Is there anything more that you need in terms of privacy, right? So everything about you is in at least one computer file. So everything, that means the privacy need of the data should need to be properly maintained. Now, how did they get my data? Through loans. If you are going to borrow any particular type of loans, definitely they can get your data. Charger accounts, order via different type of emails which we use in our day-to-day life, they'll get our personal information. Magazine subscription, different type of tax forms, applications for schools. You need to maintain all your personal information, due to which your privacy is at lost. Insurance claim, hospitality stay, sending checks, fundraisers, advertiser, warranties, military. See, these are the different ways with the help of which the privacy of the data is basically lost, right? So it is something which is actually in each and every field that you are dealing in a day-to-day life. Now, there are different type of legislations according to this. Fair Credit Reporting Act, that was invented in the 1970. Then Freedom of Information, again 1970. Federal Privacy, 1974. Video Privacy, 1988. Computer Matching in 1988. So your boss is spying on you. Monitor software, different type of screens, emails, keystrokes that you are doing per minute. What is the length of the break? What computer files are basically used and how long you are basically using it. Monitoring different type of websites, records in terms of cities. What are the different sites that you are actually using? How much time you have used that particular site? Everything you do while on the other side, hardware and software that you are actually using. So monitoring website, different type of cookies are there, stores information about you, right? Locating on your hard drives, beneficial users, they can be controversial use set. So they're very much interested in, knowing that what is a particular site that you are actually going to use. So privacy, platform for privacy preference project, standard, there is a standard which is proposed by Worldwide Web Consortium, that is W3C. User set privacy preference, web servers is going to transmit privacy policies, standard or software determines if website meets user requirements. And again, participations by website is voluntary. There are junk emails, they are cheaper than your snail emails, spamming is again there. So it helps eliminate junks emails. Use proper type of filtering of the software. States are at the beginning to provide laws. Protecting children, that is again a topic of the day, a most important thing. Blocking software, high-tech chapter 1. Examine the browser history to see what the sites are basically visited. That is very important point. Locate computers in semi-public, high traffic, and again location at your home, so that you'll be able to protect your children as well. Different type of laws are basically there. Communication Decency Act in 1996 it was established. Then again Children Online Privacy Protection Act, that is COPRA, and it was invented in the year 2000. Thank you so much, students. Thank you.